So I think one of the hardest parts about applying to a PhD program is actually doing, um, I think it was called your, it's the essays that you have to write for each program. Okay, so there's like a lot of them, and it was just kind of hard because you can't exceed the maximum length of what they ask for. So you have to put like within one page, why are you qualified for this position? What makes you different? What are some of the things that you've gone through? So I think that was one of the hardest things that I had to do, especially because writing is super hard for me. English is my second language, so I did struggle a little bit. But I mean, like, I would ask for help. Like, I would email my professors for my master's program and say, can you guys go over this? I also hired someone, like a friend who majored in English, and she would look over everything, like seeing if I missed any details or anything like that. So it was hard, like I'm not gonna lie, but it's good to ask for help. It's good to reaching out. There's also writing centers at every school. So I also did an appointment with them for them to look over if I missed anything or if I need to get into more explanation. So that's something that I really did find that it was hard, but it's easy to get help with. And I think having the advantage of being part of the CSU system, you kind of get like experience, like you already know what to expect with the CSU application process. It's not the same as the UC process. It's completely different. And so with the CSU, you just have to apply through the CSU website, and then you just have to send your letter of recommendations to the program. So I think many CSU students have the advantage of being able to apply easily because they have that experience. But also, like I know that a lot of CSU professors talk to other professors at CSUs, so that's also one thing that you have advantage is like asking your professor, like, hey, do you know anyone from this CSU's campus? Like, can you help me out? Reach out to them. So, for example, like Dr. Jacoy was like one of the reasons I got a lot of help because she helped me a lot through this application process. She was I can't give her so much like like she was just amazing with this. And and I know it's been years since I've graduated from Long Beach, but she's like the one professor like I've actually have kept in touch so much because she has been such a big influence on me. So I think with ESU's, the great thing about it is that a lot of the campuses, like the classrooms are a lot smaller, so you get to know your professors a lot more than just coming into the classroom and not knowing them. So I mean, I'm not a big like social media person. I tend to not get too addicted to it, but I did create a Twitter account just because I knew that in Twitter there's like academic chatters and PhD chatters where you could literally post something like, does anyone have advice on starting a PhD program? And you get so many like tweets from people who are actually giving you advice because I actually asked for that. I was like, I'm going to be an incoming first year PhD student. Does anyone have any recommendations or tips? And I just got so many things, and I was just like, okay, that's great. That's really great. And then another thing like I would tell people is office hours are really, really important. Going to your professors from undergrad, graduate school, asking them for help, making sure you get to know them and them to get to know you. It's really important that they know your name, they remember who you are, the same as you remembering the professors. So I think I would recommend a lot of people who are thinking about applying to go talk to someone that you trust, a professor. That's really important. And I think that I also noticed that in grad school, my master's, I kept comparing myself to other students. I kept thinking that they were doing better than me, surviving more, understanding the topic more, but in reality, we are all struggling. We are all like, drowning in homework and reading. So I want to tell people that don't compare yourself to others because it's not, it may look like they're fine and surviving, but we're actually on the same boat and we're all struggling. And you need a great like support system. And I think that for my master's, that really helped me, having friends who would go hang out with me at the library, but at the same time have a movie night at the end of the night. It's good to have a balance between that. So I think that really, really does help. And I think for a PhD, if anyone's considering applying, you have to be wanting to go to school. You can't say, oh, I hate school, I don't want to go. It's not like that. You know, I think for me as a child, I always knew that I enjoyed school. I do get stressed out, but I always knew that I wanted to get a PhD. And it might take longer for others to realize that they want to get a PhD. But I mean, if you enjoy learning, if you enjoy like having like reading materials, reading new stuff, and getting new ideas and talking, like being surrounded by professionals, I think it's like you're ready for your PhD. And that's something that I'm looking forward to, even though I know it's going to be hard the next couple of years, but I'm very, very excited for it as well. Yes, yes, that's something that I like noticed with a lot of students that, if you didn't enjoy your undergrad, if you were too tired or just did not like going to school, like I don't recommend you. It's just because a master's and a PhD is a whole different level of, like you go from like with a lot of homework from undergrad, but then you get from masters where I would read a new book every week. And that was really like tough. It's a lot of reading. You got to learn how to read 80 pages a night. And that's something that you kind of have to balance between like school and work and life. So it's definitely difficult. And I think a lot of people are scared, but I think it's also something that you have to know that you want to do and be confident in it. Yes, it's basically like a big like homework assignment, I guess you could say, just because I didn't apply to just one school. I applied to four different schools. So that was a lot. Like it was just, getting your letters of recommendations, answering the questions for the prompts, getting all the documents that you need, your GRE and everything. So it's definitely really hard, and it's something that, you have to do it in time. You can't do it at the last minute with that. So
Right.
it's something
So,
that definitely I like prepared myself for. Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing with like when I was looking for like the schools, I was looking at the faculty, who's there. I was first looking at, what are their interests, and then from there I would read their articles that they had, their scholarly articles. I would go on their CV, look up their articles and see, do I have a similar interest to what they're doing? Is this something that I want to do? So I would do that, and I would narrow it down to three professors that I saw myself potentially working with, and then I would send them an email, and I would set up a Zoom call for them. So it's definitely a lot of like work, but I think it's worth it just because I found the two supervisors for both schools, and they're very helpful so far. So it's like it's great because then they're also going to help me with funding, fellowships, and like just how to survive PhD. So I'm looking forward to that. So usually the due dates are around December and January. I literally start really early. I start at the end of August, beginning of September, just because I know sometimes life throws you a ball and you don't know what's gonna happen. So I know like if I was gonna be busy with something else, that I wouldn't have much time. So I like to prepare myself beforehand, and I actually make myself a timeline, like just okay, reminder, this is when this is due. This is when you have to already send an email. You have to already have this done. So I think that's one of the things that really helped me is like having a planner, just like making sure I had deadlines for each thing of the application process. So I do tell people, I do recommend people to do that. Have a planner and make sure you set deadlines because like sometimes life just comes at you and you get pushed behind and you don't want that with the PhD program. Yeah. I just want to I guess I just want to say that, if people who are interested in doing a PhD, do your research, ask for help. That's really important. You can't do it alone. It's very hard. Have a support system. It's good to have friends, professors who will, be there when when you have a time that you need to talk to someone, they are there. Also take care of your mental health because sometimes it could be very hard, balancing your mental health with school. So it's definitely hard, but also give yourself some time. Don't compare yourself to others. We're not all the same. We're not like we're all struggling, but we're all experiencing very differently. So I just want people to know like it's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be a great time, and it'll be worth it at the end. You'll get your PhD and you'll finally be very cool, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on this.